Gaffer, after Tuesday night's game, what are the main things that you really want to see from your side come Saturday?
Well, obviously a reaction from it. Obviously, it's not nice to lose by 5. It's very humbling, and you feel obviously hurt but embarrassed with that. Look, we had a lot of change in the team. We actually started off really well. I thought we could have been 1 or 2 up before they scored, but ultimately we make our first mistake of the game, we get punished, and then we don't defend our box well enough in the second goal. And I think, like I said on the other night, I don't know too much, can't remember too much of what I said, but because you're just emotional from the game, obviously. But we have to be better in both boxes. I think at times I thought even last week Bristol Rovers, our shape was really good, and the goals haven't come from shape; they've come from us just not defending properly in terms of where our midfielders are, centre halves are, etc. So we've worked on that. We've talked about different things, especially off the ball. From the other night, we have to defend better. We can't keep going down 2-0 and then come in at half time and try and reverse the fact. And with Swindon we've got better, Bristol we got better. The other night was different because we had to take players off the pitch, we had to leave players on the pitch as well to protect others. So there was a different feel of that, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like we're chasing, we're just protecting really, second half. But we know we've got to be miles better. The goals are way too easy. And to win football matches, we've got to be, we've got to defend better and be better in both boxes ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, with those goals, like you say, there's been some unfortunate ones, there's been some mistakes as well. How important is it for the teams to try and create their own luck to, force the other team into making those type of situations?
100%. 100%. Like we've majority of the goals, and I think this is why I'm getting, or have got really frustrated, because they're the same type of goal. Well, a majority of, we've conceded 12 goals this season, or up until the other night, 11 goals up until the other night. And the vast majority, 80% are the same goal, which we keep reiterating. And ultimately, if you keep telling people that this is what's going to happen, and they don't do it, then they ultimately aren't doing their job. So they have to come out of the team. That's football. For the last 100 odd years, it's if you play well, when you've got the shirt, you usually keep it. If not, if you haven't got a shirt, you do the best when you get the opportunities to grab it. And I think that's where we're at the moment. We're kind of making the same mistakes. And ultimately, if you keep making the same mistakes, we lose football matches. And now we're starting to get the odd player back. You have to come out of the team, and hopefully the one that comes in does the right job.
When you first came in in a similar situation where confidence was low, results weren't great. So how important is it to try and tap into that mentality which saw us finish so strongly at the end of the season?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, it's different when you're new and it's a different voice coming in. Obviously Rob's come in with a different voice, which has been brilliant. So it's obviously more difficult when you're already in it and you're sort of the players. But I think we've always remained as positive as we can. So I try and keep the environment as good as it can be at the training ground. Work even harder. That's the only way you're going to get. No one can give you confidence. No one can give you luck. Everyone. If they work harder, or if we do the basics right within the game, it doesn't take any quality to do those type of things. So that's what we've got to revert back to, and then hopefully you create your own luck. I thought performance-wise, I thought we started the game really well the other night. Probably Bristol shape-wise, performance-wise, should have got something from the game, but at least a point out of the game. One of our best performances. So we have been heading in the right direction. We've only been able to keep the same team once all season, which is frustrating. So we're never settled. We've never got partnerships, whether that's back 3, back 4, midfield 2, midfield 3, front 1, front 2, front 3. We've never really managed to get those relationships going. That's sort of, and that's been challenging. So hopefully now, like I said, we're getting 1 or 2 back. Hope, touch wood, we don't get any sort of injuries or suspensions that take it away from that, and we can start getting a settled sort of group. And I'm sure the results will come.
And in terms of the overall group, Naz, do you know how long he's going to be out for now?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we've got Naz probably 4 to 6 weeks at least. Kano's probably the same. Foles obviously out till probably January time. I think when you're having these type of moments, we had them last year. Yeah, we had, I was here when we lost 3 or 4 on a bounce last year, and then we went on a massive run. But obviously you kind of rely on your experienced ones to pull through. All our experienced ones are on the treatment table at the minute. So but that obviously gives opportunities for other players to step up. You've seen MJ come back and captain the side. He's a quiet leader within the group. Rags is a quiet leader within the group. So these are the type of players, the newbies and the Jackos who've been here now for a bit of a while. The ones they have to step up and carry the group, and I'm sure they will be.
In terms of the Saturday, Crewe back at home. How important is it to pick up some points this week?
Well, every game's the same, mate. We want to pick up points every single game, whether we're home, away, against top or bottom. And Saturday's no different. Obviously, when you haven't won in a while or a couple of weeks, the sort of points are more. Obviously now you need them as quickly as possible. They started off like a house on fire, going top of the league. They've just come off it a little bit. I know they've had a couple of injuries, but. They're a really good team, young, energetic, typical Crewe team who with a fantastic manager who play football. Like I said, it's all about us, how we approach that game on Saturday. I think the fans have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant with us. Even I have to say, there's a fan called Adam yesterday, sent me an unbelievable message. Basically how, Barrow's kind of, the last 3 or 4 years has helped him through life, basically. And that's really important. I really appreciate his message. And I think the fans now are more than ever going to be really important, like Saturday, to get behind the team, which I know there will be. We need Holker Street now to be a fortress. We need it to be hard and horrible for anyone to come. And we have to get back to that. And hopefully that starts on Saturday.
Yeah, how big is it to try and tap into that energy and come Saturday in that first 5 minutes, make that first big challenge, make that first chance, and like you say, really get the fans behind the team?
Yeah, 100%. Look, we've got to be better. We've got to help get the support going. Conceding an early goal against Swindon, conceding an early goal Bristol Rovers, conceding an early goal the other night. We've got to take that out of the game a little bit. There's too many times we're chasing, and like I said, this league. We've played 10 games now. We've scored the first goal twice and won twice, and then obviously the opposite with 8 times. So we know that it's really important, and it's not the end of the world if we do it. I think as well if we do concede, but we've got to give ourselves a better chance in games and to get the crowd back on their feet and back cheering us. It's not a reaction in the second half to chase a game. So we'll be doing our utmost to make sure that happens on Saturday, and I'm sure the crowd will be right behind us.
Thank you.
Top man.